अर्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्. By the infinite grace of Sri Lord Krishna and Sri Ramakrishna, we are studying the Gita, Bhagavadgita, second chapter. We are almost at the end of this chapter. In the shlokas number 60-63, Krishna gives the path to destruction. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha, etc. If one continues to think of the objects of the world, and one will develop a sangha, the attachment towards it. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha Sangaha Teshu Upajayate. Then due to that attachment, Kama, the desire arises. So when desire is obstructed, Krodha, the anger emerges. Krodhat bhavati sammohaha. And due to that anger, a kind of delusion arises in the mind. Man gets deluded. He will not be able to distinguish what is real and what is not real, what is good and what is bad for him. Sammohat smriti vibhramaha. Due to that delusion, he will lose the memory of what he has learned throughout his life about the religion, ethics, etc. Smriti bhramshatu buddhinashaha. The loss of memory is equal to buddhinasha, the destruction of the intellectual faculty. Here intellect means the discriminating faculty. One is to be able to discriminate what is good for him, what is bad for him, what he has to do, what should not do. That faculty will be completely destroyed. So buddhinashat pranashyati. So if one's buddhi, the intellect is lost, one is not able to discern or discriminate what he has to do, what he should not do, absolutely his life will become destroyed. So this is the scheme we have read in the shloka number 62 and 63. So in contrast to that, so the man of wisdom, how he conducts himself by control in the senses. The buzzword here is the control of the senses, the control of the mind, and how it happens and how we can save our life by controlling our mind and the senses. That is expressed by Krishna in the shloka number 64. Raga dvesha viyuktaistu Vishayan indriyaihi charan atmavashyaihi vidheyatma prasadam adhigacchati. So here indriyaihi charan vishayaha. We cannot stop the indriyas, the senses, to go out in search of the vishayas. We cannot stop the ears from reaching out to the sound. We cannot stop the eyes to go out and see the form. It is impossible. The life means the indriyas will go out and reach for the objects. That is what is called experience. That is called what is called the enjoyment, bhoga. So this anubhava or the bhoga is possible when only the indriyas will have a contact with the objects, and that experience is conveyed to the mind, and where you will experience that, you will have the consciousness of that experience. Suppose the eyes will see an object, and that message will go to the mind, and here in the mind we will be conscious of our seeing an object. That is how it happens according to the Vedanta. We cannot stop it, but we can do one thing, that is, we can experience all things, all objects without raga and dvesha. As we have repeatedly we have heard in these classes, it is raga and dvesha that makes our life miserable. Raga means extreme kind of attachment. Dvesha means the opposite of it, repulsion. That is, these propensities, these passions will create turbulence or distress in our mind. So in yoga it is called the klesha vritti. There are two kinds of thoughts. Some thoughts give us the contentment, happiness. Some thoughts will give us the misery. This raga and dvesha will give us misery. So in order to be happy, in order to be content, in order to attain the peace of mind, we have to get rid of the raga dvesha. The problem is, whenever we see something, whenever we hear something, whenever we experience something through our senses, that experience we do always endowed with the raga and dvesha. For example, if I see a person, either I develop raga or the dvesha. Either I like that person or dislike the person. I am not able to see that person as he is. So we do not have the objective perception. We always color it with either extreme kind of attachment or the repulsion or the hatred. Either for us that person is likable or we hate him. But the Krishna says we shall continue to experience the things of world. We cannot stop the senses going out and reach to the objects, but let us not do it with raga and dvesha. So slowly and steadily, if we practice and control our mind, we can get rid of the raga and dvesha. So in young people, you see, they are filled with likes and dislikes. I want only this, I don't want this. If you give them a sweet or the dish, they either like it too much or they dislike it too much. So slowly when we mature ourselves, likes and dislikes will reduce. So the peace of mind, the restlessness of mind also will decrease. The restlessness of mind is due to this raga and dvesha. When raga and dvesha decreases, naturally the mind will be filled with the peace and the contentment. That peace and contentment is not born out of the experience of this external object. It has nothing to do. When raga and dvesha give rise to the thoughts of the misery, klesha vritti, which brings us misery or the pain, when they get reduced, normally that place will be replaced by what is called the thoughts of happiness, contentment, etc. So a lot of psychology is involved here. And if you study Gita, you can also study Gita as the book of psychology. So this is the meaning. We cannot avoid the senses to go out and enjoy the objects. Let us allow the senses to go out. We cannot stop the senses, but let us experience this world without too much of attachment and too much of the hatred. Let us give up the sentiments or the passions of raga and dvesha. This cannot be done all of a sudden. That's why Krishna says further, Shanaihi Shanaihi Uparamet. Slowly and steadily we have to practice. Suppose there are some conditions and situations where I used to get angry, and slowly I can reduce that kind of condition. If that condition crops up again, I should try to keep my mind calm and controlled. And that is how we have to practice it slowly and steadily. Even if you get angry, you should not express it outside. If we don't express it outside, that becomes a habit in due course, and slowly the anger subsides. This is how slowly and steadily we have to learn to reduce the passions of raga and dvesha in our mind. So the man of wisdom, one who is established in Atman, always thinks of God, always merges in the bliss of God. He will be devoid of all these passions. The best way to get rid of this raga and dvesha is to remember God. When you remember God, there will be no scope for developing this attachment or the dvesha or the hatred. So in the next line, Krishna says, Atma Vashyaihi Vidheyatma. So there are two Atma here. Atma Vashya means the mind should be under, Atma Vashyaihi means our indriyas should be under our control. So what is the difference between animals and the human beings? The human being can control his senses. He can determine what he should see and what he should not see. He can select what he should hear and he should not hear, what is good for him, what is not good for him. That intellect or the discriminating faculty is very active in him. But it is not so in the case of the animals. So if you study the behavior of the animal, they have two passions in abundance. You can see them they are filled with such two passions. Either they are very much attached to something or they dislike something, nothing in between. That means the common feature in animals and human beings is this passion, raga and dvesha. That is because the animals do not know how to control their senses with the mind. The mind has not developed in them. Rather, we do not find discriminating faculty, intellect in them. They may be able to think what to do and what not to do, where to go, how to go. All these animals also think, the human beings also think, but in animals, what is good for me, what is bad for me, what I have to do, that kind of discrimination is very much less. That is why you find they act instinctively, instinct. If the animal gets angry, it will get angry instantly. There is no control at all. So it is the control of the senses that distinguish a man from the animals. So otherwise, if we are filled with always this anger, attachment, and too much of passions like jealousy, etc., we are next to brute. We cannot call ourselves as human beings at all. And what is the difference between a human being and the animals if we are filled with animal tendencies? So Krishna says here, Atma Vashyaihi, the indriyas are to be under control. Vidheyatma. So in the case of the mind also. So there is a close relationship between mind and the senses. So we have to subordinate the indriyas to the mind. Indriyas or the senses should be under the control of the mind. And in turn, we have to control the mind also. This is the way to bliss and the contentment and the peace. Otherwise, if we allow our mind to go stray and follow the diktat of the senses, we will be living an animal life. So these two are very important. Atma Vashya, the control of the senses, and Vidheyatma. Here Atma means the mind. Mind which is under the control, which is under one's control. Vidheyatma. So with these two qualities, a man of wisdom, a Mahatma we call it, and Upanishads call it him as Dhira. Kaschid Dhiraha Pratyagatmanam Aikshat Avrutta Chakshuhu Amrutatvam Kathopanishad says. A Dhira, the man of intellect, and sees instead of experiencing outside world through his senses, he makes them indrawn and he searches for the Atman, Pratyagatma, on finding the Pratyagatma within himself, and it is the reservoir of the bliss, pure existence, pure knowledge and bliss, and he attains immortality. That's what the Kathopanishad says. And now Krishna introduces a beautiful word called Prasadam Adhigacchati. Today we had Chandika Homa, more than 4,000 people partook prasada. So that prasada is the gift of God. But here prasada means here prasannata, the serenity of the mind. Suppose you sit for some time in your room or in your shrine, you have no worries at all. We have no thoughts at all that trouble you. You are fully concentrated. You are completely relaxed. And that is a state of prasannata. That is a state of serenity, tranquility. So the idea is the tranquility and serenity of the mind is our goal. That goal can be achieved only when get rid of the raga and the dvesha. And if we control our senses and if we make our mind subordinate to us, we should not become the slaves of the mind, rather the mind should become our slave. So in other words, we should have a very disciplined mind. Our whole life should be disciplined. Disciplined body, disciplined mind, disciplined life, and disciplined intellect, and trained mind. Disciplined mind is also a trained mind. Only when we get a training of that sort, our mind will be disciplined. Only when there is a discipline in our life, we can reach the goal of God realization or Atma, Jnana, etc. So this is highly psychological teachings that can be or that should be applied to our life to make our life really contented and blissful. The next shloka explains what is the result, what is the benefit of the prasada. Suppose if we get rid of the raga dvesha and we control our mind, we control our senses, that is indicated by two words, as I told you, Atma Vashya and the Vidheyatma. When we get the serenity, what is the result? What is the benefit of the serenity? Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanihi asya upajayate prasanna chetasaha hi ashu buddhihi pariyavatishtate. This is the result. This is the benefit. This is the goal of life. Hanihi, complete cessation of sarva dukkhanam, all kinds of dukkha. So tradition says there are three kinds of dukkha. One is the adidaiva, adibhuta and adhyatma. Adidaiva means due to natural forces or elements, we coming to Greece, too much of rain, too much of wind, deluge, flood, etc. Adibhuta, Adidhaiva. Adibhuta means the animals or some other forces, etc., that constitute Adibhuta Dukkha. And lastly, Adhyatma means our own body gives lot of trouble to us. We will be tormented by many kinds of diseases. So we will be free from all kinds of diseases. We will be free from all kinds of miseries. It doesn't mean we will not be afflicted by the diseases. We should not think, if I get prasada, I will be free from fever, I will be free from diabetes. It is not so. Though you may be having diseases, you will not be tormented by them. You will not be afflicted by them. You will be free from all kinds of misery that the diseases cause you, the other kinds of dukkha causes you. Dukkha cannot be avoided in life, but only we can reduce the intensity of the dukkha. As Holy Mother says, suppose you are destined to be killed by sword, by God's grace, that may turn out to be a pin, that's all. That is what can happen in our life if we become the devotees of the God. The intensity of the dukkha will be very much reduced. We cannot but experience or go through the karma phala. So if we have done something wrong, we have to reap the result, the bad result, the dukkha. If we had done some good work, and we have to get that result, the bad, good one, the punya. The punya leads to sukha, and the papa leads to dukkha. Suppose I am suffering now, that means that is the result of some actions I have done in this life or the previous life. So it is something unavoidable. You cannot avoid it. But by practicing the yoga, karma yoga, dhyana yoga, we can very much reduce the intensity of the suffering and concentrate on God and God alone. This is what is the prasada, the serenity of the mind, the tranquility of the mind. If you read the life stories of the great devotees of the Lord, even Sri Ramakrishna's life, he suffered from the throat cancer. But throat cancer did not bother him at all. There was no remedy or medicine at that time for the cancer. He must have been suffering terribly by the pain, but he never expressed any kind of misery or any kind of difficulty or any kind of pain outwardly. He was always immersed in the Bhagavadananda, the joy of the Lord, Bhajanananda and the Bhagavadananda. The Thakur Sri Ramakrishna was the personification of the pure bliss, pure joy, the pure Ananda. In spite of the body has to suffer a lot. So this is the benefit of the prasada. Prasade, by prasada, sarva dukkhanam hanihi upajayate, takes place. Upajayate means it happens. And what happens? Hanihi upajayate, the destruction, complete cessation, complete annihilation of all kinds of dukkha. So another way of understanding this is, dukkha is the result of the avidya. If I don't know about my real nature as Atman, if I don't know I am the pure consciousness, existence, knowledge, bliss, then naturally I cling to my body, I identify with my body, mind, etc. We know the body and mind are the abodes of dukkha, the misery. Every experience is some kind of a misery. Often we call it as joy, often we call it as enjoyment. But the so-called enjoyment is also the experiences of misery. That is what the Yoga Shastra says. Sarvam dukkham vivekinaha. All ordinary experiences all mundane experiences, all empirical experiences are but different manifestation, expressions of the dukkha. So, in order to get rid of dukkha, we have to remove the source of the dukkha. What is the source of the dukkha? Avidya or the ignorance is the source of the dukkha. Then when we realize or when we perfectly understand that God alone is real and everything is illusory, it is God and God alone is the real abode, and I have come to this world because of my ignorance. If I give up my ignorance, I will go back to the God. I am not body, I am not mind, I am not intellect, I am but Satchidananda Swarupa. Then all miseries will cease. There will be no misery at all. So even while you sing the songs in the Aratrika, every day we do, at least at that moment, for about 45 minutes or 30 minutes, we will just forget all our earthly worries, family worries, our individual problems, everything we forget. Because that bhajan or the arati song or the stotra will make us concentrate on God. The God is Ananda, the God is bliss. When we concentrate on God, the miseries will cease to exist. The state of merging with God, concentrate on God. We have to go on extend, we have to go on increase the timing so that it will envelop our whole day. Whole day should be the time of Bhajanananda, and the Bhajanananda will give us the Bhagavadananda. This is the only way to get rid of all kinds of the misery. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanihi asya. Asya means that person of the Mahatma who is established in Atman or who is merged in God. Prasanna chetasaha hi ashu. So the mind which is established in this state, it has become steady, tranquil mind, serene mind, peaceful mind, always peaceful. Where you see some people in every circumstance, every situation, they remain calm, they remain equipoised, they are always happy, inner joy. That is the sign of a Mahatma, the great person. Because their sustenance of life doesn't come from the outside impulses. Their source of joy is not outside. The source of joy is inside. The God is the source of joy for them. And such people are called Prachanna Chetasaha, the man of tranquility, for whom buddhi, his buddhi, intellect, paryavatishtate, it remains steady always. Pari means actually it is everywhere. It has extended everywhere. It embraces everywhere. That meaning is conveyed by the pari. So Shankaracharya here says, you see the sky or the space, it is everywhere. It has encompassed everything. There is no place where there is no space at all. So the man who has got the prasada, one whose mind is tranquil, his intellect becomes steady, stable like the sky or the space. And the space does not waver at all. Space doesn't shake, doesn't move because it is everywhere. Our mind also becomes like that, stable, steady, because it has now merged into Atman, which is everywhere. He sees Atman everywhere, and he sees in everyone the same Atman, and in his own Atman he sees all the living beings. Isha Upanishad says. That is the state. That means our mind, our individuality, we will extend, and we identified with the whole existence. So we become everything. That's what Upanishads say, Sarvatma Bhava. When Sarvatma Bhava is developed, there will be no disturbance, no movement, no restlessness. It is perfectly tranquil because there is nothing to gain, nothing to aspire for, nothing to desire for, because the Atman is everywhere. I am that Atman. So this is the meaning of Paryavatishtate. So the Krishna continues to speak about the characteristics of a person, and he says, he cautions here in the next sloka. You see, you have to become a yogi. Otherwise, life will be in vain. You are just wasting away your life. Nasti buddhihi ayuktasya, nacha ayuktasya bhavana, nacha abhavayataha shantihi, ashantasya kutasukam. So all we are trying to achieve in this life is shanti, peace, contentment. I want to reach that state where I should feel I don't want anything further. Unfortunately, we think that state can be reached by acquiring the external things. We think the money will make me contented. Even after amassing thousands of crore rupees, the man will not be happy, man will not be contented, man will not be peaceful, man can never be tranquil or the serene mind. It is impossible because it is something external to that man. The external things, external means something external to one's own Atman, doesn't make us fulfilled. Only Atman will make us fulfilled. Understanding my real nature to be Atman, which is infinite in nature, which is blissful, which is pure existence, it is pure consciousness, pure awareness, that alone can make me fulfilled, contented in my life. So Krishna says here, Nasti buddhihi ayuktasya. Ayukta means yoga. One who is established, the state of being in yoga is the yukta. The man who is established in yoga is called the yukta. What is yoga here? The control of the mind is the yoga. So we have to refer to Patanjali Yoga Sutra, Yogaha Chitta Vritti Nirodhaha. The control of the thoughts of the mind. There are good thoughts and there are bad thoughts. So our mind is the combination of both good thoughts and the bad thoughts. I want to reduce both of them. We should not try to reduce only bad thoughts. We should try to reduce good thoughts also. Suppose I am having 100 thoughts per minute. Now I should reduce to 50, then 20, then 10, then only 1. That mind should be directed towards God or the Atman alone. That is the goal of the yoga. So how to reduce the thoughts? Reducing the thoughts can be achieved by concentration or the yoga. Yogaha samadhihi says. Samadhi means concentration. If you go on concentrating on God, if you go on concentrating on our real nature as Atman, all other thoughts will cease to rise. They become dormant and ultimately they get destroyed. They will not come up again. That is the state of the real yoga. One who has achieved that state is called the yukta. Yuktasya. Ayuktasya, one who is unable to control the mind. So in normal parlance, normally speaking, if you are not able to control the mind, You cannot have the buddhi, the discrimination. I am not able to, I will hanker for hundreds of things. I go after them and my mind is not at all at peace, restless. Every time I am attracted towards one thing or the other. How can you have discrimination at all? How can you have that control of the mind at all? Ayuktasya buddhihi nasti. So one way of understanding buddhi is discrimination faculty, the distinguishing, the capacity to divide or classify what is good for me, what is bad for me, what is what I have to do, what I should not do. This is the buddhi. Another way of understanding the buddhi is spiritual comprehension. So our way of understanding, our way of seeing this world is all worldly. We have to rise ourselves to the spiritual level of understanding, to see everything as the play of God, to see in everything the God's hand. Ultimately, it is God alone who has become everything. So we should learn to see God everywhere. I see God in me and I see God in outside also. In every experience I see God, the awareness, consciousness alone. This is buddhi. This cannot be achieved by uncontrolled mind. That is what Krishna says here. Nasti buddhihi ayuktasya. Nacha ayuktasya bhavana. This is normal understanding or the knowledge. If I don't have controlled mind, if my mind is very restless, I am not able to meditate. Without meditation, you cannot control the mind. If your mind is very restless, you cannot meditate. It is something like this. It is first egg or the hen. Without egg hence doesn't come out. Without hen, there will be no egg at all. So we should practice it. Controlled mind, concentrated mind. Only with concentrated real meditation can happen. In order to increase that concentration, in order to develop the intensity of that concentration, I have to meditate. So if I am very restless, if I always troubled by this raga and dvesha, I am always angry, I am always with jealousy, so much passions, I am so much of desires, and how I can meditate? Meditation is a fundamental step in spiritual life. If I cannot meditate, how can I be a spiritual man at all? How can I call myself as a spiritual man? So Krishna says, yoga is absolutely necessary. Yoga is necessary to develop discrimination or the spiritual way of life, and yoga is absolutely necessary for meditation. Bhava means meditation, bhavana. So, nacha abhavayataha shantihi. What is the problem? I am not able to meditate. I am not a yogi. I don't have that buddhi which you are speaking about. What is the problem? I enjoy the life. Unfortunately, if you don't have the meditative mind, or in common terms you can say concentrated mind, the secret is here. Only concentrated mind can be a peaceful mind. Tranquil mind means concentrated mind. If mind is distracted, it cannot be concentrated, then you cannot have the peace of mind at all. The tranquility comes only when you are able to concentrate. Nacha abhavayataha. One who doesn't have the meditative mind, The mind which is able to meditate, which is concentrated, which is able to concentrate for some time on a particular object. In meditation, we always concentrate on God. Shantihi na. There will be no peace at all. Try this. Where is peace? Where is contentment? Hundreds and thousands ways of enjoyment, pleasure are there in this world. Do you find peace there? Can I be peaceful while enjoying the things? While I am in the midst of so much of pleasure, can I find even the semblance of peace or contentment? It's impossible. It's impossible. Only through meditation on God, remembering God, focusing our whole heart, body, mind, everything to God, that you can achieve this peace of mind. Peace of mind is impossible. Only becoming a spiritual person, religious person, dedicating our life and heart to the God and God alone, one can be peaceful, contented. So peace or contentment, tranquility is possible only through remembering and concentrating on God and God alone. This is the message Krishna is conveying to us. So what happens if I am not peaceful? What is the problem? Ashantasya kutas sukham. What is sukha for me? Engaging in pleasures, engaging in enjoyment, eating, drinking, sleeping, either the goal of life. Years, days pass like this, years pass like this, the whole life pass like this. One fine day we die and again enter into another body to continue the same thing. Where is sukha? No sukha. What is sukha? Shanti is sukha. Where there is tranquility, there is happiness. Where there is peace, there is happiness. Happiness means peace. I am very happy, but I don't have peace. I don't need peace. I always want more and more, more and more. And this is not a shanti at all. This is not sukha at all. It is not real sukha at all. The problem with this is we take that excitement or the restlessness of the mind to get more and more pleasure is what is happiness. It is not happiness. Happiness is withdrawing the mind from all kinds of these external factors and finding one's own abode in the God and God alone. Only when we become introvert, there will be calmness, peacefulness. That is what is called happiness. The simple truth we forget. So Krishna says, there will be no sukha, there will be no happiness for the man who fails to be peaceful in his mind. And Shankaracharya gives a very interesting definition of sukha here. Indriyanam hi vishaya seva trishnataha nivrittihi tat sukham. Our normal understanding is when I engage my senses in pleasure of the things of the world, that will generate happiness. The spirituality, that is exactly opposite. When you are able to withdraw your mind from engaging the senses and the mind from the enjoyment of the world, when you are free from the clutches of the objects and the senses, and what the mind experiences, That is what is called happiness. Suppose I get temptation to eat sweet, but I am diabetic. If I go and eat sweet, I think it is happiness for me. I am become happy by eating the sweet. It is not happiness. Then what is happiness? Suppose if I withdraw the mind, if I control the mind from eating the sweet, I control the senses. In this case, it is taste. We eat only for relishing things. Because sweetness, something are very good taste. A taste lasts only for few seconds at the tip of the tongue. Afterwards it disappears. When the stuff goes inside, food stuff goes inside, where is the taste? For few seconds of excitement, gratification, we suffer so much in this life. We call it as eating gives me happiness. Suppose if I control the mind, I will not eat it. That happiness I gain is more than that which I get by eating that. So there is a close resemblance between controlling the mind, controlling the senses, and the proportionate happiness. The happiness increases. The more we control the mind, the happiness increases. The more the happiness we get. More we are able to concentrate the mind, more happiness we will get. And there is an invariable relationship between sukha and the shanti. Ashantasya kutas sukham. There is no happiness. Where is happiness for one without peace of mind or tranquility of mind? It is impossible. One need not be a scholar to study Bhagavadgita. These are all common sense matters. One should be a bhakta in order to understand the essence of Bhagavadgita. If you don't have devotion, if you don't have faith in God, if you don't have the acceptance, that means a great Lord is teaching me something very, very substantial, a wonderful teaching that will illumine my life, then we will not be able to receive the teachings. If we become too much critical, if we read the book with so much scholastic mind, critical mind, and Gita will not be very much helpful to us. Ashantasya kutas sukham. Then Krishna says, Indriyanam hi charatam yan manaha anuvidhiyate tadasya harati prajnam vayurnavam ivambhasi. What is the problem if I allow my mind to go behind the senses? The sense, this eye is going to see some object. It wants to enjoy something. By seeing that, mind also will let it go, follows it. Then what is the problem? It is something natural. If someone says, Krishna educates him. Indriyanam hi charatam. The mind, the senses are moving here and there. I am going in a market. I am seeing beautiful things, wonderful things around. Oh, wonderful exhibitions. My eyes are seeing. My mind is getting attracted. First I see and mind follows it. Mind goes behind the sense called the eye. Indriyanam hi charatam manaha anuvidhiyate. Mind follows it. The eyes see the form, ears hear the sound, and mind follows what is heard. Mind follows what is seen. Mind follows what is tasted through the tip of the tongue. Mind follows what is experienced through the sensation of the skin. Mind follows what we smell through the fragrance. Everywhere mind is involved. Senses go to the object and mind follows it. That's what Krishna says here. Manaha anuvidhiya. This is how we experience the world. Then what happens? When mind is following the senses without any control, tadasya harati prajna. My prajna. What kind of prajna? I may be a spiritual person, having read so many books, meditated for long years. I have developed a prajna, a kind of intellect, discriminating faculty about Atman, Brahman, God, etc. I think I have read so much and I am a spiritual man. That is prajna, my understanding, my awareness. The mind will simply carry away that. Because mind is following the senses and senses are after the objects. Even the wise man will fall into the prey of the mind which is following the senses, and senses in turn is going towards the objects. Tadasya harati prajna. Prajna means my power of discrimination, my power of understanding, my power of selecting, distinguishing what is good and what is bad. Everything I lose because the mind is so powerful and the senses are more powerful. Senses are following, senses are going towards the objects, seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, etc. and mind is following that. So Krishna gives an example. Vayuhu navamiva ambhasi. So in an olden time, not in the mechanized ships of the today's contemporary world, in the olden times, the ships are to be have to move with the gale or the wind direction. Suppose a ship is moving towards the north, where it's supposed to go, a strong wind will change the direction of the ship. It's a strong wind, it's called gale. It may change the direction of the ship and ship will be forced to go to the southern direction because of the strong wind. So I am an aspirant, I am struggling to remember God, to meditate on God, but the mind is so strong, mind is moving behind the senses to enjoy the world. I am turning to be inward, inner looking, introvert, meditative. Unfortunately, the mind is not cooperating. So this is the state. What to do then? The next sloka Krishna says, Tasmad yasya mahabaho nigrihitani sarvashaha indriyani indriyarthebhyaha tasya prajna pratishtita. Therefore, we should be very conscious of the defects in the senses. That's what Shankara says in his commentary. Indriyanam pravruttau doshaha upapaditaha. We think that senses are going somewhere and trying to enjoy. It is something natural. There is no defect in it. But this is the defect. There is a defect. If you want to spiritually grow, we have to find a defect in the senses, working of the senses, working of the mind. There is a problem there. We don't recognize the problem. We simply allow our mind to go astray. Simply allow our senses to go and enjoy the things. It cannot happen like that. There is a serious problem we should understand. There is a serious defect in the working of the mind and the senses. Krishna is pointing out. So we have to control it. We have to control it. We have to withdraw the senses. Nigrihitani sarvashaha. From all sides, from all corners. I withdraw from this, I don't want to withdraw from this. No, you have to withdraw from every corner, every item, every side. There is no such thing as I liked it, I don't like this. No. Whether you like it or not, it is detrimental to your spiritual progress and you have to withdraw it. Sarvashaha nigrihitani indriyani. So indriyas are to be withdrawn from what? Indriyarthebhyaha. So indriya is the eye and indriyartha, the form, the eye see is the indriyartha, the object of the sense. So one should be able to withdraw the senses from the object of the senses. And senses are to be integrated in the mind, and senses are not to be allowed to go towards the objects. That is what is called meditation. Same meditation technique we have to try to adopt in other times also. Suppose I go to this same example I give, I go to market, I am attracted by this, I am attracted by that, I like this, so much restless. No. We have to withdraw these senses. We cannot allow the senses to move about freely. When senses are withdrawn, means senses are withdrawn to the mind. And mind should be controlled. Mind should not follow the senses. In turn, mind should be withdrawn to the senses. The senses should be withdrawn to the mind. Already we have learnt in the shloka number 64. Atma vashyaihi vidheyatma. The senses are to be under control, and also mind should be our subordinate. The same idea is repeated here. Indriyani indriyarthebhyaha nigrihitani sarvashaha. I want to enjoy something. I will withdraw from everything, but I want to enjoy this particular thing. No, it cannot happen. If you want to be spiritual, we have to withdraw the senses from every corner, every object. That is the only way of meditation. And Krishna teaching us how to meditate. And Krishna is also teaching us how to maintain that meditative state even in our ordinary work, ordinary duties. Control the senses, control the mind. Indriyani indriyarthebhyaha, his prajna, his understanding, his intellect will be very steady. We should not allow our mind to waver. We should not allow our intellect to waver. We should be like a rock. Nobody should disturb it. Nothing should disturb our mind. Nothing should disturb our intellect. Then only spiritual life is possible. Such person is called one who has achieved that state, one who is successful in establishing oneself with Atman, withdrawing all the senses from their respective objects, is called Tita Prajna. So we have 4 more shlokas in this chapter. It's a very important chapter, second chapter. Traditionally, they say the second chapter contains the essence of the whole Gita, and all other chapters are but interpretations of the teachings in the second chapter. So we have the great opportunity to study it in these classes by the grace of Sri Ramakrishna and Lord Krishna. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.